Okay, my name is Christopher Vincent. I live in Charleston, West Virginia, the greatest city you've never heard of. On behalf of Atlanta Bangla TV, I'm here interviewing Joy Shahriar. Not today, but it's midnight there, right? It's a midnight in
Yep,
Dhaka,
yep,
right? So,
yeah.
which we agreed was going to be the name of your next album, right?
Maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, great. How you doing today, Joy? Tonight?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Hello.
Good,
How are
good.
you?
Did you have a long day since it's midnight, and I know you're a hard worker?
Yeah, a bit, but it's okay. It's nice to meet you here and share my thoughts about anything and everything with you. I won't mind.
All right, great. Well, we just want to get to know you better, and also to an extent the music scene in Dhaka, and we can talk about myself a little bit if you're interested in what's going on over here. But mostly, first of all, I want to start with you said urban romanticism. Can you tell me about that?
It's kind of Bangladesh has a long heritage of music, but the root of our music it's more into folk. The folk music, the bowls here in the the riverside in the village areas, they are the main protagonist of our music since the country is working. But by the time when the civilization grow up with the as the cities are growing up and the rock culture, the pop culture entered to the country, and from our generation or maybe generation earlier, people are used to with the globalization and all kinds of music entered into Bangladesh.
About what
And
year or about what decade was that rock music and Western music entered Bangladesh?
it's around in 70s. In fact, Bangladesh um, um, you know won the liberation war in 1971. So we started as a country, as a nation in the world in 1971. And the rise of rock music, pop music was in 60s and 70s. So that was the time um, those enters in the music scene of Bangladesh. And when the urban culture is growing up here in Bangladesh, the people or musicians like me from my generation, we are not living our life by the bank of the rivers. We are not seeing the river or the paddy fields. And the culture is different a bit in the city life. So um, being a singer songwriter, uh, and being a Bangladeshi singer songwriter, you know my village is Dhaka city, which is the mostly densely populated city in the world. So uh, it's so in my song, in my music, or in my songwriting, my cities are all of there, and the city life and the feeling. So the romanticism in my music or my songwriting is a bit different from the roots of Bangladeshi songwriting. So here we go. The new gen singer songwriters are, but being a Bangladeshi and listening to all those songs, and especially we also have a big influence of the Eastern classical. If I um, come into the genres are mostly nurtured in Bangladesh in terms of music. Those are folk music, our roots, our basic, and then the Eastern classical. So after 70s, from 80s and late 80s, rock music starts booming here. And I'm a 90s kid. So we grew up with listening to the heritage music from Bangladesh, folk, and the maybe classical, maybe some Tagore song, Nazrul song, because Nazrul Islam is our national poet. He also sings a songwriter. Apart from that, when we grew up listening to the rock numbers from from Eric Clapton, Beatles, Pink Floyd to Bon Jovi and Bryan Adams, so it all came together when we are doing music. Yes, I'm a Bangladeshi, I grew up in my city named Dhaka. So my city, my life is in my music, and my basic is typical Bangladeshi. But being a global citizen, all mixed up in my music. So um, that's why I'm talking about my music or myself is like urban romanticism is the main portion of my music, not the you know unique Bangladeshi rural or village culture in my music, because I'm not living in that area. That
Sure.
not portrays in my music.
And you're probably talking mostly about the music itself, but the subject matter. So, like, what is the difference between traditional folk subject matter and the subject matter that you sing about or write about?
Mm, it's different in a sense, maybe the um, main focus may be the same. We are talking about the soul, the love, the passion, the patriotism, or the philosophy of life.
Just
Those
in a
things
more
are,
modern way, I
yeah,
guess.
those things are always there. But when my life and my lifestyle is a lot different from the people from the villages, or for the life of the bowls or folk artists. Uh, my life and my living is very much different from them. So in my music and my songwriting, maybe I will sing about the traffic jam rather than the beauty of a river.
Yeah.
I will sing about the sodium lights in my road, rather than singing the moonlight, or the other beautiful stuffs, because I'm not into it. So I will replicate my dreams. I am replicating my thoughts and philosophy through this, the sodium lights and the traffic jams, rather than the river and the moonlight and the beautiful paddy fields. So
Right,
that's the
but if you're
difference
talking about
between.
American rock music, you're gonna hear a lot of that about the traffic and the lights too.
Yeah, but but
uh,
but but they should experience the traffic of Bangladesh. Then they will think in
right.
in other ways.
Yeah, yeah. So what was the first rock song that you heard? I mean, like really heard, like you heard it and you were like, this is new. This is something unusual to me, and this is killer.
It's like, from my childhood, we were into a lot of Michael Jackson song, but for me, the rock and pop culture touched my heart through Eric Clapton. I'm a big fan of Eric Clapton. So there was an album named The Greatest Hits of Eric Clapton, where the tracklist was like Wonderful Tonight, Tears in Heaven, Cocaine, Old Love. From soft and acoustic numbers to some bluesy numbers, the blues rock, then Layla. So that was the album really hits me, and from then, a lot of artists have their, uh, you know, I'm really into Scorpions, Pink Floyd, and Beatles, two
Yeah,
Brandons and Bon Jovi. But if I have to name one, that is Eric Clapton. I'm a big fan of him.
I think Eric Clapton is like that's a great that's a great foray into rock music in general. I mean, especially coming from another culture. You know, Beatles is another great
Yeah,
example of just
yeah,
kind of cross culture music.
yeah,
You said that you were really listening in the '90s, and it's interesting because you're naming songs and groups from the '70s and
yeah,
'80s, and I
yeah,
always wonder how long it takes for music to get, to other parts of the world. So like in the '90s, we were like I was listening to the radio in the '90s, and that was like when I first started to get interested in music. And Soundgarden,
yeah, yeah.
Nirvana, just a lot of grunge on the radio, Pearl Jam and stuff like that. So when did Bangladesh ever get exposed to like grunge music or the rock music
Yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
'90s? And so was it in the '90s or was it in the 2000s?
It's like, we have a really vast music culture here. The practice of music is here. We have death metal bands to folk rock, everything. Uh, if you're talking about the, yes, maybe I was a bit backdated in terms of a lot of my friends. When my friends are into Metallica, I was into Brand Adams. It's about my taste. When my
Hmm.
friends are into Soundgarden, I was into Dire Straits. So the this is really about the test or my type of music. But yes, it was
So you
not
were always
easy.
kind of old school.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
always kind of old school, and
yeah.
it's always tough on the time. There was no YouTube, there was no tabs and codes. We have to buy cassettes which were not original cassettes,
Yeah, they're
of
passed
course.
down and cross
Yeah,
borders,
yeah.
and yeah.
So and we have to record it from these some old shops. There were some two or three shops here in Dhaka. They used to bring all those cassettes. They were not in numbers. Maybe they had one original cassettes. Then they
They would dub it,
uh, yeah, they just dub
make
it. And
copies. Yeah.
yeah, and there were you can have an album having songs of Eric Clapton inside A and having Justice inside B.
Oh,
So
cool, cool. And it had been
so
dubbed like 1,000 times, so it probably sounded like wow, 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 wow.
yeah.
So, all right. So you were always kind of old school, and like I'm getting your vibe, and you seem like one of those kind of those musicians that's like evolved, So you probably take from everything that you hear, and you're probably influenced by everything you hear, and
Yeah,
and you could be 50% influenced by things that aren't even music. I'm guessing, right?
yeah,
Like
truly,
a lot of
because
musicians just think in terms of music, and then there's the other musicians that end up being like you are a writer, a producer, a
yeah,
facilitator, you know. So I do want to move out of music and talk about what you think your role in Bangladeshi culture is, like in the music culture. I know you do the production and all that stuff, but I want to know kind of philosophically what you think your purpose is for your culture there in Dhaka and to Bangladesh as well.
as a musician, these are there are some various paths and ways to uh, work as a musician and to serve for my fraternity, if I say. For me, apart from being a musician or doing only music, I worked for the creating the ecosystem for the music scenario here, because what we miss the most in Bangladesh, having a super cool music culture, amazing musicians, but the problem we face throughout the last 50 years of our independence is, end of the day, the artists were deprived from their rights and royalties. So uh, being a record producer, yes, I produce music in terms of music capability and qualities. I may promote other artists, or look into the music, the production qualities. These are the same things all the producers do. But apart from that, I work for those things which should be in the right way to have a better ecosystem. Because I was the first artist in Bangladesh to launch my music uh, worldwide through the streaming sites in 2013. It's not
That's huge. Yeah.
so it was like the industry was it was a dead industry, because there was no CD sales, because piracy was hugely in the market. If you release a CD, no one bothered to buy that CD, MP3
Can
and
I
other
interject? I just want to get an understanding of something. So, the music industry that you're talking about that deprived the artists from the royalties and rights and all that, were those all Bangladeshi owned, or are they like under umbrella of like Sony and like American or Western or European
no,
music
no,
industries?
it was the Bangladeshi industry, because we were not open up till to 2013 or 2015. Till
Whoa.
till then, our music was just was in our country. We didn't have the you know way out to sell our music. That was another point, because we have a huge number of NRB, we call them non-resident Bangladeshi.
Okay.
There are millions of Bangladeshi and Bengali speaking people around the world who are the clients. So we have a big customer base. If in terms of number, Bengali speaking people are in maybe or seventh in the world after the, the, if we talk about the major languages, English,
Hmm.
Spanish, French. So Bengali speaking people are around, um, I guess, 50 million maybe, of yeah, 50 million, or more than that, because a huge part of India also speaks in Bengali, so the West Bengal
Is
part,
that just because they
the
want to be cool?
no, it was, it's from the British period,
Sure.
in 1947, that was another history. So in 1947, when the, India and Pakistan divided. Then we got our independence from West Pakistan. We were East Pakistan, so a large number of areas were divided between India and Bangladesh. But the Bengali-speaking people are in both countries. Maybe the number are same. So we have a big market in worldwide, but that wasn't properly utilized. In fact, still now in 2022, it's just, we are just starting to capitalize those things. So and we don't have the culture of having proper documentation among the artists and the labels, to sharing the revenues and other stuffs. Still, we are
There
having
are no
problem because
entertainment lawyers there.
yes, they are now working in last 5 or 7 years. But when you are solving the problems for 50 years, it's
Yeah.
really tough, and it's not easy, because there were no documentation, till 2000. Maybe in last 20 years, or in last 10 years, most of the productions are happening through the proper documentation. But earlier that there was no documentation. So maybe the labels are doing the um, um, the international releases and the publishing rights by them, when the artist is going to discover that his song are being claimed by the label in his own channel. So these are very common phenomena in Bangladesh now. So we are facing that. And from 2014, I'm working on that, because we started to release my albums in major platforms like iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, and other stuff. I have a musician friends who lives in America. He started the MCN named Mushroom Entertainment. He's working to Fuga. So that was the first time ever any Bangladeshi album was released internationally to all the major streaming sites. And now it's 2022. In 10 years now, 90% of the albums are released worldwide, and Spotify is here in Bangladesh from 2021. I guess it's around 2 years. So the doors are opening. Still, we don't have iTunes and the YouTube offices here to serve our people. But as Bangladesh has a you know mm, the thing, we are large in numbers. If you are talking about numbers, then it's huge in Bangladesh, because a lot of Bengali speaking people around the world, and huge population in Bangladesh too. So um, we have really a great opportunity, or a great prospect in terms of music business. But the total ecosystem is in a kind of dead situation. In 5 years back, now we are working on that. Recently we had found the artist organization. You will be amazed to know that 50 years old country just started to have their artist organization in 2020. 2020, the
Started
Singer
having the
Association of
what?
Bangladesh, the artist organization, like for the
Oh
composers.
yeah, yeah. So like our ASCAP or
Yes,
BMI.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And we still don't have the proper CMO here to work for the artists. But in 2020, during the time of Corona, the pandemic, when people had enough time to spend,
Yeah.
and realized that where is my royalties, because I don't have any live shows, so I don't have enough cash to live on. So I should I should look into my other assets where I can make money. So then people realize that we should work on that seriously. Then we, um, the first organization was for the Lyricists Association of Bangladesh (LAB) in Bengali, Giti Kavi Sangho Bangladesh. then MCSB, Music Composers Society of Bangladesh, and then Singers Association of Bangladesh. And now all the three organizations are having federation type of thing, which is Music Alliance Bangladesh. And being a singer songwriter, as I'm a lyricist and composer and singer, I'm part of all these three organizations and working as the organizing secretary of Singer Association of Bangladesh. So we are now working to make the artists aware of their rights. It's not like that you will just have that on any given date if you were not aware of those things earlier when you were creating those things and signing any on every papers the label gives you without knowing what is on the paper.
Yeah, that's
So
incredible. I mean, that you've done all that work in such a short amount of time, and that you had none, and now you have three. And then that three creates a federation, which I'm guessing is like a checks and balances system, so you don't have a
yeah,
monopoly, right? So that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
So like it has a foundation, like a just foundation for the artist. That's really really
yeah.
awesome. Did you have any part in that
Sorry.
consulting, or did you have any part
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah,
creation of
yeah, yeah,
those?
yeah. I'm also the executive member of that for the federation, which is called Music Alliance Bangladesh. It combines 12 members for each from the three organizations. So I'm representing the Singers Association, being the organizing secretary. So we have 12 persons committee, and I'm one
Yeah.
of them.
Well, I salute you, sir. And how many cumulative artists does the federation represent?
It's like now we have around more than 1,000 artists. Most are singers, as we have some criterias for the membership. You have to have more than 25 released songs or albums to be a member of the Lyricist Association or the Composer
So you
Society
can't just be a
or the
drummer.
yeah. There is another organization called BMF, if I'm not wrong. That is Bangladesh Music Federation for the musicians. Yeah, all the instrument players. They also had an
Okay,
association. So yes, you can be. And
that's good.
there is also an organization called Bamba here, only representing the rock bands from Bangladesh.
All right,
So
Bamba.
yeah, it's Bamba. It's not La Bamba.
No, no, but like BOMBA,
No,
right?
it's BAMBA.
Oh, okay, Bamba.
Bamba.
Okay. I want to ask before I forget. You, so when you signed up for all the streaming services, like you said, Spotify was the first one, and you still, so even not having representation, you got the royalties for your streaming sales, right?
Yeah,
That's great. That's huge.
yeah, yeah.
So my next question is, in America, like musicians are always like frustrated because they'll have like 10,000 plays and they'll get like $4 or something like that. And I want to know what the translation is like if you have the same amount of plays to us, if you actually get more money, relative to us because of how the streaming service is set up, or does the streaming service operate by country? That's something I could have Googled, but I didn't, think about
No,
it until now.
we have two kinds of streaming services here. We have 4 to 6 streaming service provider in Bangladesh. Those are local providers, and we have operator based streaming services. Like there are three telcos have their own streaming services. That's only for those operators. The users will only get the chance to stream to that the app, music app. And we have two music app which are not depends on the operator. They are open. You can have those by using your debit or credit cards or any other options or mobile banking system. You can pay the monthly charges, and you can have that while you are having data or Wi-Fi. It doesn't matter.
But what relation is that to Spotify though?
No, because in Bangladesh, what we do uh, for the international releases, most of the cases we have some of the multi-channel networks like MCN. We are signed to a third party who distributes our music to the streaming sites like Spotify,
So it's a third
Amazon,
party.
and it's a third party.
Okay.
And for us, the thing is same. It's if you are talking about the numbers, it's really frustrating in terms of the revenue.
That should have just been the measure. I should have just said, "Are you frustrated?"
But in on that note, that numbers is better in Bangladesh. But it's sad that the the app or the streaming industry is not going in Bangladesh what it should be. In last 5 years, the graph is not going up. It's like in a steady position. But as I said, we have a great prospect around the world if the contents are available in the global sites. Then in last 2 years, the international streams are really jumping for us. It's like 10 times or 20 times better in last 1.5 year. As I'm working since 2013, in from mid of 2020 or in the beginning of 2021, the number of streams are just getting higher and higher. So that will maybe affect in a good way. But in Bangladesh, as you said, it's more frustrating rather than the other countries around the world, as the CPM, the revenues per thousand stream are much more less than the countries like America, Canada, or UK, because it's like around 70 cents per thousand ads on YouTube in Bangladesh, where you guys will have $4 to $15 in Middle East to East Europe to USA. So those are really frustrating for us, as and we are facing another problem, being a musician or being a producer. That is, we don't have the proper place to you know go for our problems, being a label or being an independent artist who is a producer, because we just have to rely on the mail. We don't have any office, or you don't have any branches here from
Is that
YouTube to
forthcoming, or is that
Spotify.
something you're working on?
Maybe because the numbers are increasing in Bangladesh, so they should
It's
have a focus.
necessitated. Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise we have to um, you know look for the office in India or look for the office in Singapore. But that's not the right way to solve it. For a two minutes talk, we have to wait for months. So
Well,
this is really frustrating.
you just started those performance rights organizations in 2020. I mean, it sounds like everything is happening really really fast. It sounds like streaming is even multiplying, because I'm guessing that's a mixture of accessibility to the music through streaming services, and also your facilitation there in Dhaka, to make sure it gets that you have the proper third party, and that everybody can get
Yes,
their
yes.
music to this third party, and then furthermore get the streaming services.
And
So
the,
I
and the
will
best
say you've
yeah the
made a
best
lot
part of
happen in a
it.
little amount of time.
Yeah, it's really the best part of it is now we are having the accountability of the music business.
Yeah.
Till the streaming service entered the industry, it was it was like the labels and the other stuff. There were no accountability. They just used to give me reports in Excel sheets. But you don't have we didn't have any dashboard or any kind of um, things where there was accountability. So from the streaming sites, now we are having the proper revenues, and hopefully it will help the musicians to grow, because uh, that's the only way. And it's nice to be with the international market, and you can judge yourself, you can compete with the people, and you have to be on the right path to
It's
be
yeah.
in the right way.
That's a great segue to my next question. And before I go any further, I just want to point out the obvious. This interview right here is trying to achieve the same goal. This channel and the Atlanta Bangla TV, trying to build that bridge between Bangladesh and the rest of the world, and the other way around, knowing that one another can benefit. So I want to ask you what you or what the perception around you is of the importance of the American market. Like, is it something you're just not concerned with at all, or is it like a goal or a dream for some musicians, or like, is there any import of the American or Canadian market to musicians in Dhaka?
To be frank, for the rock and pop culture, you just can't avoid America. So and that has a huge influence in Bangladeshi music scene. So to that, it's obvious here the musicians are really interested about the American music and the music industry. And to be frank, I was in USA being having a fellowship from the State Department of US in 2014, and I was there, um, part of an entrepreneur team from Bangladesh. And
Did you
as
meet
I say,
Obama?
no, I didn't meet Obama, but I was outside the White House, so
Mm.
maybe he was there, but I was busy. Uh, but I was in SEM, the Academy of Contemporary Music in Oklahoma, so I had um, some opportunity to share exchange the thoughts and the culture of our music and the American music. And that too helps me a lot about learning the digital era of music. Here's my girl.
Hi there. What's your name?
Priyota.
Briota. That's a very pretty name. Do you like Daddy's voice?
You like?
It
Do
look
you like?
it look it looks like a Roblox gamer.
No, when he sings. Do you like when he sings?
It's kind of like a cat.
He sings like a cat.
You sings
Yes.
like a cat. Baba sings like a cat because you love the cats. Okay.
All right, yeah. Before we go, I would really like to hear about the Bangladeshi Singer Songwriter Hub, like what exactly that is,
Yeah,
what the
yeah,
mission
yeah.
there is.
It was before the all those organizations were active. It was kind of a club where we all the singer songwriters were working together, and it's a non-profit organization. We had a project named the First Song Project. It was funded by my record label Ajab Records and Ajab Karkhana, which is a production house. What we did, we asked for the demos for the singer songwriters who didn't have any formal releases till that. Then we choose three singer songwriters from 60 demos, and we produced their first song. And the recording and the video making were the gift or the prizes of that project. And from that hub, the singer songwriters hub, we just working for the betterment of the singer songwriters here in Bangladesh. We just had some chit chat, some
That's where you
maybe
realize that you needed to change some things
exactly,
fundamentally and get
exactly,
some
exactly,
infrastructure to
exactly.
facilitate. Cool. Well, if there's anything, do you want to go over anything else?
Well, it's fine. It's fine. As I said, we can talk about the documentation on my new book or the other side of my music. That's it. More or less, we had the basic of the industry.
Yeah.
We already talked about.
Yeah, I really appreciate all your information there too. I mean, it's like
My pleasure.
I feel like I need to know these things, and I don't know why yet. But thanks for setting so many precedents for like working hard to facilitate artists and taking so many risks and chances and putting yourself out there. I'm sure that everybody really appreciates your work, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of it. And your book is going to be released when?
It will be released on February. We have a book fair called Morikushi Boimela. It's like w- a month-long book fair. This is the biggest book fair in Bangladesh and in Southeast Asia. So that will start in the first February of this year.
All right, great. We
And
haven't
and
had a
and
book fair since 1990. So.
okay, we have the fair in every year. It's a month-long book fair, from 1st to 28th February, since it's around 40 years, I guess. It's around 38 to 40 years old. And the book I'm working on is on the legendary guitarist and singer-songwriter from Bangladesh. His name is Ayub Bachu. We called him Abi. He passed away in 2018. He was only 56, and it's a kind of memoir of his acquaintance, like his friends, his families, his bandmates, and fellow musicians like us, the younger generations. And I tried to have the discography of him, as we don't have the culture to preserve the proper documentation of our
Um,
music.
I
So
was going
that
to
is
ask if there
really
was a previous, any previous documentation, if there was a biography or anything on him.
no. There was no biography, so we have to rely on the you know memory lane of his um the people around him from his childhood and to his death. Various circles, like from the family, from the musician fraternity, from his bands and others. And I just tried to make the discography in a proper way. But he has a long career. Maybe we'll have to add on more, but it has to be started. So I'm starting with this book. The name of the book is Rupali Guitar. It was a famous song of him from his first album. His band was LRB, Love Runs Blind, and he was really special. So I started this kind of work last year through writing a biography of another legendary musician, Kumar Bishwajit. He's doing his music for 40 years now, and he's still rocking. And I wrote the biography interview by interviewing him, and then I decided to work on Bachu Bhai, AB, so we can have a documentation for the next generation, and we will also cherish the discography, the covers of the albums we grew up listening to. So hopefully it will be a good one.
That's killer, man. It seems like everything you're doing are things that like need to be done, and that's why you're doing them. So I appreciate that. I'm sure everybody
Okay,
else
thank you
does
very
too.
much.
It was a pleasure talking to you, Joy. Thank you very much. I'm sure it's not the last time we'll talk.
Yeah, same here,
All right.
Christopher. My pleasure.
Yep.
Best wishes to you and to your show and your TV. Hopefully, we will talk again.
Also
And
too.
nice meeting you. Hope to see
Yeah.
you. Hope to see you here in Bangladesh.
Yeah, and I'll send you some of my music too. And yeah, go talk to
Yeah,
your daughter
yeah,
and make sure to sing to her. Meow.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you, thank you,
Cheers,
thank
Joy.
you very much.
I'm Christopher with Atlanta Bangla TV. Thanks for watching.